General Motors, a titan of the auto industry, has long been a symbol of American manufacturing's strength and innovation. For decades, GM has shaped the way the world drives, employing thousands and fueling local economies across North America. But now, the company is facing a storm of financial trouble that threatens its legacy and future. In Q2 2025, GM reported a staggering $1.1 billion profit loss, a 32% drop from last year, mainly due to new tariffs imposed by the Trump administration. This sharp decline has sent shock waves through the company and the broader industry. These tariffs specifically target imported vehicles and parts, making it more expensive for GM to build its cars and trucks. The impact has been immediate, hitting GM's global supply chain hard and causing delays and disruptions at multiple points. All told, these new costs are expected to add up to $5 billion for the year, forcing the company to rethink its operations and spending. Despite these significant setbacks, GM's core business remains surprisingly resilient. The company's earnings per share have managed to beat Wall Street expectations, showing the underlying strength of its products and workforce. Still, the company's future is clouded by uncertainty. With so many variables at play, GM has been forced to suspend its financial guidance for the coming quarters. This move has drawn intense scrutiny from investors and the public, who are eager for answers and worried about what comes next. GM now stands at a crossroads, squeezed between unpredictable government policy and fierce market competition from both domestic and international rivals. The decisions GM makes in the coming months will ripple across North America, impacting not just its own workers, but also suppliers, dealerships, and entire communities on both sides of the border. The stakes are incredibly high, not just for GM, but for the entire automotive industry, which relies on complex supply chains and international cooperation. How GM responds to these challenges could reshape the future of car manufacturing in the region, setting a precedent for others to follow. GM's troubles are rooted in a dramatic shift in U.S. trade policy, one that has sent shockwaves through the entire automotive sector. For decades, automakers have relied on a seamless flow of parts and vehicles across North American borders, building a complex web of suppliers and factories that stretch from Canada to Mexico. The Trump administration's new tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports, enacted under emergency powers, have upended decades of free trade. These tariffs were introduced suddenly, catching many in the industry off guard and leaving companies scrambling to understand the full impact on their operations. For automakers, these tariffs are a direct tax on both vehicles and the thousands of parts that cross borders daily. Every bolt, engine, and electronic component now comes with a higher price tag, threatening the delicate balance of just-in-time manufacturing that the industry depends on. GM's business model, built on NAFTA and the USMCA, is now under siege, with billions in unexpected costs slashing profit margins. The company's carefully planned supply chains, once a source of strength, have become a source of vulnerability almost overnight. The company faces a tough choice: absorb the losses and risk financial instability, or raise car prices for consumers and potentially lose market share. Either option could have lasting consequences for GM's future and its reputation among American car buyers. Ironically, tariffs meant to protect U.S. industry are hurting its biggest players, forcing GM to rethink its entire production strategy. Workers, suppliers, and executives alike are left facing uncertainty as the company weighs its next steps in a rapidly changing landscape. The result: a scramble to adapt as the industry's integrated supply chains become a liability overnight. Production delays, increased costs, and logistical headaches are now the new normal for GM and its competitors. GM's next moves will set the tone for automakers across North America, as the entire industry watches to see how one of its giants navigates this unprecedented challenge. To counter the tariff blow, GM is investing $4 billion to bring production back to the U.S. The plan expands American plants in Kansas, Michigan, and Tennessee to build 300,000 more vehicles a year. This reshoring marks a dramatic shift from decades of globalized manufacturing, aiming to dodge tariffs by using more U.S.-made parts. The transition will take 18 months, requiring major upgrades and retraining for workers. While costly up front, GM hopes long-term savings will outweigh the investment. But this move comes at a price. Production and jobs in Canada and Mexico will shrink, shifting the North American manufacturing balance. The strategy is a gamble: protect U.S. operations, but risks straining relationships and stability abroad. For GM, it's a high-stakes bet on American soil. The outcome will shape the company's and the industry's future. GM's $4 billion investment is more than just a financial boost. It's a lifeline for American workers and their families, offering renewed hope in an industry that has faced years of uncertainty and change. New jobs and secured positions are coming to Kansas, Michigan, and Tennessee, bringing optimism to communities that have been hit hard by past factory closures and layoffs. For many, this means a chance to rebuild their lives, support their families, and restore pride in their hometowns. The reshoring effort means more opportunities for skilled labor, engineers, and support staff. It also brings extensive retraining programs, allowing workers to adapt to advanced manufacturing technologies and automation, ensuring they remain competitive in a rapidly evolving industry. This upskilling not only secures current jobs but also boosts the long-term competitiveness of the U.S. auto workforce, preparing them for future challenges and innovations in the global market. Yet, the good news comes amid a federal government shutdown and broader economic uncertainty, reminding us that even positive developments can be overshadowed by larger national issues. While GM's move is a bright spot for the industry, the future of these jobs depends on stable trade policy, continued investment, and the company's ongoing success in a competitive global market. A change in administration or a shift in trade rules could upend these gains overnight, putting thousands of jobs and livelihoods at risk. For now, American workers are the clear winners, celebrating new opportunities and a brighter outlook. But the landscape remains unpredictable, and caution is still warranted. The fate of the auto industry and the workers who power it remains tied to forces far beyond the factory floor, from global trade dynamics to political decisions in Washington. Canada, despite losing some GM production, is finding opportunity in the chaos. With U.S. tariffs in place, Canada is becoming a more attractive base for automakers targeting Europe and Asia, thanks to its stable trade agreements. The Canadian government is also capping tariff-free U.S. vehicle imports, incentivizing automakers to keep plants running north of the border. As U.S.-focused jobs move south, Canadian facilities pivot to global markets, preserving employment and investment. Canada's proactive policies are turning trade disruption into strategic advantage. The country is positioning itself as a reliable, globally connected hub for the auto industry. Amid the turmoil, Canada is proving its resilience and adaptability. The electric vehicle revolution adds another twist to GM's challenges. GM's EV sales are surging, with Cadillac overtaking Tesla in U.S. luxury BEV market share. But a new U.S. budget bill will soon end the $7,500 federal EV tax credit, threatening to slow EV adoption. At the same time, relaxed fuel economy standards make gas-powered trucks and SUVs more profitable, tempting automakers to delay the EV transition. GM is hedging its bets, developing flexible factories for both EVs and traditional vehicles, and investing in domestic battery production. The company's strategy: stay nimble as consumer tastes and government policies shift. The road to an all-electric future is now less certain, with policy changes creating new risks and opportunities. GM must balance ambition with adaptability to survive the industry's next chapter. The US and Canada are taking sharply different paths on auto policy. The US is using tariffs and emergency powers to force jobs home, but is also cutting EV incentives and relaxing fuel standards, sending mixed signals to automakers. This unpredictability disrupts supply chains and clouds the industry's future. Canada, meanwhile, is focused on stability, offering consistent EV incentives, investing in battery supply chains, and capping tariff-free US imports to protect local jobs. The Canadian approach is about making the country an attractive, reliable place for long-term investment. For automakers, Canada's steady hand offers certainty in a volatile market. As the US lurches between protectionism and deregulation, Canada is quietly building its reputation as a leader in the next wave of automotive manufacturing. The contrast couldn't be clearer, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The GM crisis is a case study in turning adversity into opportunity. US tariffs forced GM to reshore production, creating jobs at home but shaking up the North American auto landscape. Canada responded with smart trade measures and a stable policy environment, attracting new investment and reinforcing its global role. As the US wavers on EV support, Canada's consistent strategy is making it a magnet for the green auto revolution. The lesson resilience and adaptability win in times of upheaval. By embracing change and playing to its strengths, Canada is cashing in on the chaos. In a shifting global market, those who adapt fastest will shape the future of the industry.